Casey's first urban community radio station. You're listening to us live on KUAW.org or on the TuneIn radio app. You can listen to us on both of those worldwide, here or Timbuktu. We're there where you are. You can listen to us on the TuneIn app via the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store app that you can download and get that information there. The phone number for our studio is 816-599-6893. Our email address is kuaw985@gmail.com. You can find the station information on social media, the tricking social media, Facebook, KUAW-LPFM985, and you can look for the station info if you want more info there on Hatebook. Black Facts, today's date, Tuesday, January 30th, 2018, or so they say, according to that wrong calendar. On today's date in 2006, we lost the Black civil rights activist and mother, Coretta Scott King. She passed away on this day in 2006. Born and raised in Perry County, Alabama in 1927. Born into an extremely segregated society, lived a discriminated life for many years. She attended a one-room school for low-income blacks, but she still excelled in her studies. And you have to keep in mind at this time, during the Jim Crow South, some argue it's worse in Southern schools today in this part of the world. But in Jim Crow South, the students would get old textbooks. They still do. But they would get old textbooks that were 5 and 7 and sometimes 10 years old from the old white schools. So even though she went to that one-room school for poor blacks in her neighborhood, she excelled in her studies, especially music, becoming a singer, and graduated from Lincoln High. Not our Lincoln High, but Lincoln High in Alabama. She was the valedictorian of her class in 1945 and got a scholarship to Antioch College in Ohio. Got that Bachelor of Arts in Music and Education. She went to the New England Conservatory of Music. I did not know she studied at a Conservatory of Music in Boston, and they awarded later on a fellowship in her name. And later on in the 50s, the early 50s, she earned her second degree in voice and violin. I did not know that she was that musically talented. Not surprised though. Didn't Louis Farrakhan too? I did not know. Louis Farrakhan is extremely talented on the violin. I did not. Probably can go on tour if he wanted to. Much more important work to do. Moved to Montgomery in '53 with her husband, who she met at the Boston Institute, and she started getting involved in the so-called civil rights movement by at the same time working alongside her husband at the in the Baptist church through the 50s and 60s. And she also took part in the Montgomery bus boycott, attended Ghana's Independence Day in 1957, of course, of then President Kwame Nkrumah, and traveled on a pilgrimage to India in 1959. Very well traveled. A lot of people do not know she was doing work before the passing of her husband. Very active. She also was very instrumental in the 1964 Civil Rights Act, as Kwame Ture, also known as Stokely Carmichael, said, "You better sign something, Mr. Johnson. We got our blood in these streets." So that was the attitude of black civil rights workers, that, hey, they better sign something after all the blood they shed. And in 1964, she was a part of the Civil Rights Act in this part of the world. She continued her activism after the assassination, killing by white terrorists of her husband in 1968. And she used her time and her talents to further black people in this part of the world and across the globe. So we definitely remember now an ancestor, Coretta Scott King, and the brave work. I'm always amazed by the women behind the men. Sometimes we hear the stories of these men, and I use as examples, we hear the story of Malcolm X, but we don't necessarily hear the story of Betty Shabazz. We hear the story of Nelson Mandela, affectionately called Madiba, but we don't hear the story of Winnie Mandela so much. And I believe some of that is intentional because these black women, I mean, when you look at how black women are portrayed now on television as trifling, loud, obnoxious, uh, angry all the time, hoes, bitches, when you see that personified on television, they dare don't want to show you that the reality is that black women are serious and are pillars. And I would dare say there's this notion that this quote-unquote nuclear family, which is generally taken from the European worldview or Eurasian worldview of the family, is a bad thing. This nuclear family, which in the African worldview, it's holistic. Everyone has a part to play, complementary opposites. So when you want to show women as ridiculous and angry and mean and whores and sluts and just doing whatever, sticking their tongue out, having sex with whatever they want to be with, sex with men, sex with women, everything's okay. That's liberation to the Eurasian, to the white people. You don't want to show serious women who are truly about raising up the nation, raising up the people, African peoples, such as Coretta Scott King. So we definitely give her due respect. On this day in 1945, U.S. Representative Floyd Flake was born. He served in New York. He was born in L.A., became a businessman and a minister. In 1797, there was the first black interstate organization, which a lot of people who are listening to this program in this part of the world might be familiar with. It was in Boston, Massachusetts, and they were known as the Boston Masons, led by Prince Hall, later becoming the Prince Hall Masons, established the first black interstate organization, creating lodges in Philadelphia and Providence, Rhode Island. It's incredibly important, and I think some people who listeners of this program might have opinions on the Masons, Black Masons, and the different quote unquote secret societies. A lot of their, I know me personally, I had a very bad, very distasteful. I associated the Black Masons with just a cheap European imitation. But the reality is a lot of these organizations at that time served an extremely important purpose. So did the church. This is 1797. Remember, slavery was abolished in this part of the world 1865. Okay. It was illegal for black people to gather free or enslaved. In many parts of this country, even unspoken as far as socially, in all parts of this country until the Emancipation Proclamation. So there was always problems. They want to make it seem as if New York was this metropolitan mecca where white people and black people loved each other. Cowbell, but it definitely was not the case. And to have an interstate organization in multiple places, which was a group of these Black Masons carrying a lot of iconography from Kemet, carrying a lot of beliefs from Kemet. A lot of people unknowingly don't realize that they are giving a lot of praise and homage to our great ancestors on the continent. On this day in 1967, James Poyser was born, a musician and songwriter. He was born on this day in Sheffield, England. And on this day in 1927, the Harlem Globetrotters were formed. Abe Saperstein, the manager, forms an all-black basketball team on this date, and they start touring the United States and later the world, earning the title the Crown Princes of Basketball, known for their on the court antics. Of course, that seems like all black people are known for is just antics, dancing, and moving and booty shaking. But we have much more to contribute to this world, as we will talk about on this program here today. We're going to start out the program. Oh, I didn't even let everybody know what we're listening to. That was Fela Kuti. The song was Wata No Get Enemy, off of his album Expensive S. We're going to reserve the... See, we're trying to stay away from the swear words, but then the album title is just a swear word. So, but very much so a revolutionary figure in African music, Fela Kuti. If you have not heard of him, people today kind of blows my mind. Black people today still haven't heard of Fela and his what he did. But not only that, his music is just incredible, man. It's just some of the most beautiful music in modern times out of the continent. It talks about real issues. In fact, he was always getting in trouble. That particular track, Wata No Get Enemy, not only does it deal with the indigenous belief system, or it goes back to a Yoruba proverb about water, but also just telling the political factions that if they work in harmony with nature, that they will win when things, when things look bad. If they work in harmony with nature, eventually they will win, which is a message for black people today. And speaking of nature, that's why we want to we played that because we want to start off the program talking a little bit about some nature and technology. We do have guests live in studio. We will be with our guests shortly, but we wanted to talk about a issue which a lot of people are maybe not familiar with, and I recently was put up on a lot of game on this when it comes to coltan. And I know that this seems like it's a million miles away from many people, especially our listeners. We might actually have listeners on the continent who know this firsthand, but coltan is used in almost every electronic device on this planet. It is a mineral that is found on it is found on every continent on this planet except for Antarctica. So 6 continents. If you haven't heard of coltan, you might have heard of columbium. I believe it's also known as tantalum. These are extremely important. In fact, you would not have modern day technology. Every cell phone on this planet has coltan in it. So let's just say you take out the coltan, there'd be no cell phones. The radios would be huge like they used to be back in the day. You'd be carrying around a 2-foot, 3-foot box on your shoulder like it's 87. Okay. We need all of these minerals. And again, this is why it's so important for us to be up on what's going on the continent. Okay. Black people over here, we watching Grammys, we winning awards, we driving cars, we got rims on, we blinging, we grinding, we quote unquote, hey, look, man, the richest continent on the planet is where we came from. So why do we say that? Because the place that is mined most extensively for this mineral, the world goes to Africa to get this mineral. Is this the only place in the world you can find this mineral? No, but they can get it so cheap in our own backyard, where we're from, that the majority of the world's supply comes from Congo and Rwanda. Now, it's not only the fact that they're getting this mineral from Africa. If you don't know, which by now you should know, there are some major conflicts going on. The RDLF, there's proxy armies that are suspected to be from Rwandans made up of ethnic Tutsis. The president of Rwanda is a Tutsi. There are many wars going on in Africa at this time, 2018. And they're being funded by the Europeans, the Eurasians, who buy the coltan to turn it into tantalum. Okay? So we always have this image of Africa as this worn, torn, can't do right. It's just a terrible place. It's just always fighting, and there's always conflict, and there's always something going on. But we don't know that the Europeans are funding these conflicts. When you can buy coltan, when they're getting paid over $100 per ounce. When they're sending, it's one of the most dense minerals on the planet. So they send these little bags, or maybe like 1 foot by 1 foot, and these bags weigh 40 kilos. That's almost 100 pounds. This stuff is like gold. And the money for these is in areas controlled by rebel factions and groups that take this money and go buy arms. Of course, I've never seen an African arms factory before. I've never seen a black person go to a black gun store and buy a gun made by a black person. I've never seen I don't know of any ammunition factories in Africa. They may be. I am not aware of any ammunition factory. Can anybody, if any of our listeners are listening, can they name one African manufacturer of an arm? We don't even make cleaning kits for the guns. We buy cleaning kits from other people. And over 15 million people have died. I'm sorry, over 5 million people have died in the past 15 years of conflict. So Africans are dying. That's why it's called blood coltan. You probably heard of blood diamonds before. That's from my homeland of Sierra Leone. But what you don't know is that just as many Africans, if not more, are dying for your cell phone. So when you pick up your phone and you log on to Hate Book, and you are on there on social media, and you're just doing all that, and you're doing the most and the extra, and you spend half your day looking at the screen, the white man is playing you on both sides. Actually, he's killing you on one side. The European is killing you on the one side. Now, why do I say the European? Because one of the largest phone manufacturers in the world is Nokia. Now, I know a lot of y'all don't think Nokia ain't nothing. Ain't nobody got no Nokia phone no more. But see, at one time, Nokia was the #1 cell phone producer. 2010, they were the third. Now, Samsung and Apple have overtaken them. But where do you think Samsung and Apple get all of their coltan from? All of that comes from the same place. You can actually trace, they've actually done research. You can trace the coltan in your phone. They can break it down, smelt it, which is a process of melting it, and they can actually find out where that coltan comes from. All right? It is really incredible. So they actually did an interview. They did an interview with Nokia. They tried to do an interview, but Nokia refused to comment. And it was over a period of months that Nokia they attempted to do some reporting. And these are white people doing the reporting, so it wasn't like, nosy Africans running up in the spot trying to get all the information. These are white people who was trying to get some information from Nokia in Denmark, Finland. I believe it's Finland where they might be headquartered. And they wouldn't give them any information. They wouldn't say where their minerals came from. These companies were kicking people out of buildings, swearing up and down. Nobody in the whole company, including the director of the supposed humane, I guess that's their I forgot the name of the actual department, but their director of their sustainability didn't know where the stuff came from. All of the time, they know they're getting the stuff from Africa. So if you haven't heard of tantalum, coltan, columbium is also known of, these minerals are what make the industrialized world, quote unquote, industrialized world work. On the back of capitalism, which is just the economic branch of white supremacy, make it go tick-tock. When we purchase electronic devices, we are being responsible for the suffering of our brothers and sisters on the continent. Think about that the next time you want to upgrade your phone just because, it's just, think about that. Every time you pick your phone up, you should think about that. And use your phone as a tool for black liberation as opposed to a tool for slavery. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back. You're listening to Black Matters on KUAW, Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom. Oh, thank you very much. No, you're fine. Have we never formed? No, what's the name of it? Yeah. And I think you're the bond from Black Bond. Yes. I remember that. I've never met a Black Bond before. Okay, I do know a bond first. Yes, and your first name is? Your name? Raquel. Okay. And are we doing a follow-up? I didn't get the total scoop, or if I didn't read the text message properly. Yeah. Have y'all heard that brother Eric, the civil rights court here? That's yeah, exactly. I think that I studied a little bit about that, and I think there's a lot that we don't know about ourselves. That we do that, and if we just knew more about ourselves, and I think, and a lot of it, and I hate to say it, a lot of it comes to your whatever stress you might be having in life is directly related to the environment you live in. We decide the reason why all black women are stressed. And I think just asking the children like what their issues or facing are will come to light. Now that I might be of some form of history. Casey, like Eric, when he talks, I drop everything and I just listen. When that brother talks, I like he. Yeah. Okay. That's all you need to say. That's all you need to say. That's all you need to say. Yeah. The next show. What can we have them back on? We need a cobbler. We need a cobbler program. You know what I mean? Being skinny right now. Being skinny. I need a talk about. Yeah. Let's meet all these bums. What park was that at? Oh yeah. I think Mr. Walker told us about that, but you told us about Jurassic Park, didn't you, Mr. Walker? Yeah, back in the day, yeah. Yeah, my dad did that to my. I think all of us got experience. Our parents like took us deeper into it. You want to be introduced as Kenny and Raquel, aka Rocky. You just want to do Raquel. What do you want to do? Raquel's good. Yeah, I like Raquel. Raquel's cool. Yeah, no, Rocky. ASAP Rocky. I got ASAP Rocky in the field. Okay, no, yeah, it is. Yes, what's up? Yeah. We're back. If you're tuning in, you're listening to Black Matters on KUAW, Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom. This is Lamin Mumia, your humble servant here, sharing a little information, hopefully get us to liberation. We have some guests in our studio today, two incredible Black women, Candy and Raquel, with Learning Ambition. Candy and Raquel, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here.
Yes. Let's get right to it. Well, I guess I know Candy has been on the program previously, yes. So we're very happy to have you back. And Raquel, this is your first time on the program. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Any information you think might be helpful to our listening audience about yourselves.
Well, I'm Raquel. I'm the vice president of Learning Ambition. And what inspired me to do this is I love the youth. I don't have any kids, so I kind of get my fix there. But I love education. I love educating the youth. So just want to inspire, the kids in my community, where I'm from, to exposure, to different talents, to different things out there that's available to them. So things that I didn't learn or that wasn't available to me. So I want to kind of present that to the kids of the youth to give them that opportunity. So I would say that's my driven force behind Learning Ambition.
That's what's up. And Candy, yourself?
I am the founder of Learning Ambition. I guess what drove me, I'm not going to say I guess, I know what drove me to doing this is just seeing that our youth needed some structure, shall I say. And that's where we needed to, I felt like that's where we needed to start at to get our community back, was with our youth. And me as well, I don't have kids. So this right here is like one of our things where this is where we get our kid fix from, and we can return them. That's the best part. But we love them.
That's what's up. I used to always, before I had children, I was always like, yeah, just hand that little nephew these back over.
Right.
Like you got your own children, you be handing them over to nobody. Just be putting them on the bed. Like, no, I mean, you have to pick up the child. Yeah, you have to pick up the child. There ain't nobody gonna come and get the child. Okay, right on. It's very interesting. I've always said, how long have you two sisters been involved in learning, or how long has Learning Ambition been around now?
Surprisingly, since August of
2017.
I think you're on the program after y'all recently. And I always say this because I'm always extremely impressed when Black women decide, hey, they want to start. Because I say, how many organizations do we need, right? Like, so all the issues we got in our communities. Let's say, how many Black organizations are there out there? Let's just say KC. Maybe there's like 40 Black organizations out there. But we still have these issues in our community. So the question is, how many do we need? Apparently, we need more than what we have. So when we have people that step up to the plate and say, hey, I'm going to fill this niche, right? We know that the troubles we have with our youth, they're not simple, and they're going to take everybody to throw their hands in there to try to get things done. So I'm always extremely proud to see Black people saying, hey, I want to step up. Sometimes I hear, especially from white people and white thinking minds, that there's just another organization. They should have just went and joined another organization. But see, that's not our belief. What made you think, or what was your thought process when you said we want to create something else? I know you said you kind of thought about the children, but what makes Learning Ambition unique in that aspect?
I can answer that. Learning Ambition is really unique because, as I sit here and listen to you speak, like you said, there's many other organizations out here that are similar. Their goal is towards the same thing. But as we all know, it takes a lot of us to start and gain and get this community and raise these kids. It's not just one person. So what makes us unique is that we're flexible and willing to work with anybody, in our topic is life skills. So we fit in anywhere with any organization. So we're just not one organization. We're the puzzle that you're missing for your organization.
That's what's up. That's real. And I always think about it too. You know, like you're saying, just being unique. I worked with when I was younger. There was organizations that worked with me, but I didn't work with every organization. So that one organization just worked with me.
Yeah.
And that's like the only group that really helped me out. But you might just be reaching one young sister, one young brother, and they never would have got reach otherwise. Like, you know, Boys and Girls Club didn't find me. They wouldn't try to come pick me up for school. You know what I mean? Like, but other groups did. So I'm just glad that those groups are there to like help out. And I no doubt you two have had similar experiences with organizations or people that kind of just like, they just worked with you. And that's all it took was that one person to make a difference, you know. So that's what's up. So you do have an event coming up. Well, apparently there's been a lot of growth before we, you know, since the last time we talked, the organization has been, things have been popping, been going very well for organization, for the people even, so rather. What's been going on in the interim? Like, what can you share with our listeners as far as the activity of the organization that you've been able to bring to the community?
One thing we did a networking event. That was the last time we were here, where we had a pop-up shop where it was like a charity event as well. We raised a pretty good amount at that. It was a very successful event, really good turnout. Now we have partnered with Mariel Kelly in February, and I'll let Rocky go into that a little bit more because she's way she could go more into detail.
So the next event that we have coming up, it is going to be, it's a workshop that we have for kids is around the ages from 8 to about 12, 13. And what it is it's every Thursday at the Mariel Kelly Center from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. And we just talk about Black history. What better time than Black History Month? And we talk about the history in Kansas City, you know, the things that has happened in Kansas City and people that have, you know, conquered a lot of things in Kansas City that we don't even know about. So we want to talk about that history, you know, with the kids. We also just want to have different experiments that we can, you know, go over with the kids, different crafts, different arts that we can have. You know, we want to also do a journal. We're going to be going over character ed also. So that's going to be the next event that we have coming up. That's going to be in February. We also have a community event. It's called a backpack attack. And what that is we're just kind of reaching out to kids and to the homeless. And we have backpacks where we full with different toiletries that, you know, homeless people would need, and also different things that kids would need for school items like pencils, paper, that we just want to kind of share and give out to the community. Just another way to get our name out there and another way for us to support our community. So those are the next two things that we have coming up.
To kind of piggyback off what she said, I have to do this because I need you guys to know this. For the community event, that backpack attack thing, we have 2 drop-off locations. Look at God.
Look at God. Look how he blesses us, yeah.
One being the print shop at Lea Tolbert. Bishop Tolbert has allowed us.
Fast as possible.
Yes,
printing. Yes.
You gotta go to Aaron Tolbert.
Yes.
But yes, Bishop has allowed us to put a drop-off location in the print shop. Yes, he did. I went to his office, y'all.
Wow.
You gotta be buzzed in.
Wow.
So awesome.
Yeah. Right on.
One other place, gotta give it to my girl at Rebel Cuts, Drea. She's at 3401 East 72nd Street. She is also a drop-off location as well as a really good barber, and she twists my hair as well.
Right on.
And that's
look good.
We want to, of course, help, you know, give different items that's needed for the backpack attack event. Those are locations where you can drop off to help out. Because of course, you know,
and y'all can go use their services.
You know, it takes a village, so.
Yeah, that's what's up. So, yeah, they, like you said, while they're there, they could support a Black business.
Yeah. There you go.
And get involved. You know, you get some business cards made as fast as possible.
Get anything made as fast as
possible. You really can. I've never had cards. I've had I've had flyers and other work done there.
Oh, I have.
And yeah, banner work. And then as far as, you know, the hair, hey, I remember I stumbled onto a shop the other day. And man, yeah, trust me, everybody needs an edge up. Okay, sometimes that's what we're gonna leave. There's nothing wrong with that.
And that location, you said as fast as possible.
3400 Purcell. Okay. It's in the back of Lea Tolbert, the school.
Yeah, I think it's right. It's well, they might have moved, but it was a church. You had to go inside the church for for the printing. Is that correct? Or?
Yeah, the backside. You know, they
Backside,
didn't
yeah.
like upgraded. They got a whole nother side.
I bet you it is now. I've been
Doing big things. It's
yeah,
good.
they're moving. That's what's up. Okay, so we have the 2 events that are coming up. Let's get the dates on those because we really want to make sure everybody, so we have the Black History Month. You said that's going to be every Thursday the month of February. So is that 4 events or is that going to be 5? I don't know. 4 events. Okay, 4. I should know there's 28 days in February. I really should. Okay, so there's going to be, and that's from 5. What time? What's that? From
5:30 p.m.
5:30
p.m. to 7:30
to
p.m.
2 hours.
Mhm.
And that's for children ages 8 to 12. See, I was listening.
Right.
Yeah, 8 to 12.
Mhm.
Their parents can bring them. Now, do their parents have to stay with them, or can their parents drop them off?
No, their parents do not have to stay with them. But I will stress this: we don't put kids out of our program.
Right on.
I don't care how bad you think your kid is. I will not put your kid out of my program.
Wow. Wow. See, a lot of parents are listening to that, and they're like, "What date is that again?"
Right. Yeah, and it's a good chance to get, parents that 2 hours just to kind of breathe,
Right on. Right on.
knowing that their kids are, being educated. So it works both ways.
Are everyone listening? These 2 Black women have said they don't have children. They said they will take your children for 2 hours between 8 and 12, bad or not. You can't even get that from the school. The school is sending them home. And let's be, real talk. Like seriously, like where can Black children go and not be rejected?
Yeah.
Like let's be real and think about that for 1 second. Like name one place that they can go, be themselves, and go to learn and not be rejected because they're told that. Now I could name probably 30 places if I was a white child that I could go and arms be wide open.
Walmart.
Hell
One.
yeah, Walmart one with your no shoe wearing behind. But if you're a Black child, where can you go if you're between 8 and 12? Because apparently we look like adults at that age to white folk. Where can we go? So this is a wonderful opportunity, for your children to get education. Again, this might be just, hopefully it won't just be one time, but it might just be one time a young person comes into contact with y'all, and it could actually change a lot of things for them.
This is how you get people's attention. You tell them it's
That's
free. It's free. It's free.
That's what's up. Free helps a lot. Free helps a lot. Hey, I'm a parent. I got 3 children, so it's like when I hear free, I'm like, come again? What'd you say? Tell me what you say. I didn't hear you first time. All right, then you have the backpack attack. I like that name, the backpack attack, and that's gonna have 2 drop-off locations. So what's the time frame there? When can people get those? Can they start today? Can they start?
Yeah,
does it go?
Right now. Well, not right now because they're closed.
There we go. So business hours. So let's say before.
I believe, I know with the print shop it is 8 to about 4:30. 5 days they out of there by 3. I know that for a fact. They're out of there by 3.
Okay, there we go. Yeah.
With Drea, I know she's a hustler, so she's there from. I know my appointments be at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning sometimes.
Oh.
And she's
Wow.
and sometimes I know she's there till like 9, 10 o'clock at night. So.
Man, I don't know one barbershop that don't be open till like 12. You drive by that barbershop, be midnight, and they still. Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, so those 2 locations, and when does the drop off end? When does it cut off?
We're gonna try to cut it off at the end of February.
February,
because we want to try to do the backpack attack once it starts kind of getting a little warm outside.
There we go. Definitely.
I don't like getting out in the cold.
Man, what's so interesting? I'm surprised there's any crime in Kansas City because it's so cold. Because when it's cold, the blocks are empty.
Actually know. I know those statistics. As of right now, we are very slow in the bonding business because it's cold and people don't want to get out. Now, I do appreciate the days that it was warm and you guys decided to get out. Yeah, I do appreciate that.
Man, yeah, I'll be like, man, these are the safest neighborhoods in the city when it's cold outside. You walk a poodle down the block with the $1,000 bill on your back.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. I guess that's the one positive thing of the cold. If you don't get locked outside and freeze to death. But anyway, we can't win for losing sometimes with Black folks. Like we just can't. We can't even win for losing. But it's very good. They're gonna have this event at the Mary L. Kelly Center every Thursday, 5:30, 7:30. Make sure to be there. A lot of Black History events and also character character
Education.
education, right?
Yes.
So, kind of helping these children figure out what's going on in their lives, maybe understand some feelings they didn't know really how to deal with. And what's so common, I can't help but feel, because I'm always shocked as an adult how similar my situation is to another black person, another father, black man. When you talk to somebody, then you realize, oh, we got some of the same. I thought I was special with my issue, but it's like, no, we got pretty similar.
I'm not alone.
You're not
Yeah.
alone. Exactly.
And that's
exactly.
a big thing. And I try to stress this. That's a big thing with mental health in our community. We
Yeah.
try to put a blindfold over it and say, this pill is going to fix it, when some of it doesn't even need it. It just needs a proper adjustment on how you approach different situations.
I was listening to something today, a brother from the continent. We lived on this planet for 25,000 years. We had civilizations. And you mean to tell me we never had a need to take medicine to feel better?
Right.
We never had a need for pills and just randomly give, because we understood that the problem wasn't just that one thing. There was something else causing it. So you can take this herb, you can take this medicine, but we got to treat the whole problem.
Right.
So when you go just give black children drugs, black boys and black girls are like the most drugged up students ever. And then they put them in, they say they're LD, learning disabled. That's their new, to me, it's a curse word. But they don't ever figure out what the issue is. If you haven't ate dinner, if you eaten one time a day for the past 6 months, yeah, you'd be probably pissed off in class too. You know what I mean? Or if your father got locked up on some bogus charges, or your mama's working 17 hours a day, yeah, you'd be a little pissed off too. You never saw your mama, So
Oh, that is a good point
it's
you put right there.
It's we understand there's a bigger issue, and so it's great to see you two sisters out there working it and helping to alleviate those issues, because the ancestors know we need that support, and every single black person on the front line doing what they can.
Yeah.
And so much praise to you, much praise. And I'm gonna definitely get out to at least one of these, bring my little ones out. My little ones are not between 8 and 12, but I'll bring my little ones out with me, and they'll be with me. And exceptions exceptions if you and I'll stay with them. So make it out to at least.
That
one
was
of
on the
these.
radio.
That was, I know. I just signed my name to that audibly.
Hey, Candy, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
You talked about mental disorder. I've been noticing a lot that been seeing a lot of suicides, man. And what are your thoughts on that? I mean, Lamin also,
That's
alluded to, just kind of been, ticked off, pissed off about, the family structure and things like that. But also, I mean, obviously that's a piece of it. But I mean, from you ladies, from Candy, from your take, what are your thoughts on the whole suicide?
That is one reason I incorporated character education, because my thought on suicide what didn't allow us to think that way as kids, and I had to sit down actually and think what didn't allow us to think that way as kids, and it was due to the fact that a lot of us didn't have anything. A lot of us didn't have Jordans. A lot of us didn't have that fancy stuff. So when you came to me and talked about me, it was more like, so what? I'm making A's, B's, and I'm making A's and B's. So what? You know what I'm saying? And nowadays it's more like, well, I got this last week and I don't understand why I can't. They don't know who they are. These kids don't know who they are.
So essentially, I guess what I hear you saying is, when someone presents them with that situation or that attack, they take it internal as opposed to just like, you know what, I'm cool anyway, as opposed to really take it and be like, something's wrong with me for real.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Because I'm 34 years old. I just found out at a party that I went to school with a bunch of my ex-classmates, which, oh yeah, a lot of us, they didn't like you in school. Did you? I didn't really even care if you didn't like me in school, because you know what? I own my own businesses now, so if you didn't like me then, oh well. I didn't even know it. I really didn't care, because I was always that person who took unto the ones that everybody really didn't pay attention to. Everybody really didn't care to even be around. I didn't care about the limelight. I really just did me and cared about getting an education, and that's what I did.
Well, my story is a little different because I was more so, to me, I was the ugly duckling in school, and my sister was the popular girl. My She was a funny girl. My brother was the jock. So I was that middle child.
Are you from here?
Yeah, I'm from Kansas City, Missouri. Yeah. Central Eagles.
Nah.
But
Shameless plug. There you go.
Right.
but I would say, and I got teased a lot, but the difference is I had a background, like my mom, and I had a family. I had my grandma, my aunties, that when those kids, would make fun of me or whatever, when I came home, I was loved. I was told how beautiful I was. I was told, to, and still to be a lady, to hold your head up high no matter what they say about you, that this will all pass, and of course God was instilled in me. So I think that's the difference too with the whole mental health and everything is not only do you have kids are cruel. They don't know any better, and kids don't know how to take the cruelness. But when you don't have that background, that support system to go home to, that's another reason why I think the suicide rate is becoming so high. So just to put my little input in on there.
And I think both of those are extremely valid. Thank you very much for sharing that. And that question, Chris. Well, we are getting to the end of the program. Is there anything else you want to leave with our listeners before we wrap up as far as learning ambition or what you two ladies are going to be doing here shortly?
This definitely support, it starts with, two people coming up with an idea, but it takes a community. It takes a village. So just really want to reach the community and come out and support, come to the events, even if you don't have a kid, just come out, see what it's about, see where can you fit in to help the next person.
Or you can always come out and volunteer. I mean, like, you have information that we don't know. Everybody has a piece of information that somebody else doesn't know that we can teach these kids. And with us being older people at this point, yeah, we're older. We're wisdom, and that's our future. So if we don't start passing our wisdom on to our future, how do we expect our future to get better? I'm just don't know how we're going to try to work that out if we don't speak to these kids.
Real quick, somebody I was talking to some young brothers, and somebody said, all right, OG, I understand. I was like, OG? I'm like, the OGs I grew up with was like 60s or 50s. I'm like, I ain't even 40 yet. I'm not an old. Yeah, all right, OG. I'm like, but I had to think about it. I'm like, man, this guy's like 19, 17, 18, 19. And to me, I might be an OG because of his age, not living long.
Yeah.
To make 40s, like, man, brother, you OG.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yes.
There's so many brothers that I know that are like happy to make it to 25.
Yeah,
20s. And that's just alarming. Yeah. It's alarming to me.
Yeah. And it should be natural, but it's not.
Yeah, it should be like, I know I was gonna make it to 25.
In fact, our last show, I think I said that things in our neighborhood that are normal to us are abnormal. When we go to sleep, when we hear gunshots, or when we hear somebody getting killed, somebody getting murdered, somebody run down the street, police sirens, that's not normal. But then that is our norm.
Yes. Sad.
Definitely doing some work to change some things. Thank you very much, Kenny and Raquel, for coming in, learning ambition here live on Black Matters, KUAW, and we look forward to having y'all back on the program again.
Of course.
Sharing some more. Always going to be doing some great things. Peace, sisters.
Thank you for having us.
We want to thank everybody for tuning into the program today. We are bringing it to the end of the broadcast. We want to ask the Creator to help us show the highest levels of Black self-respect at all time. Help us to constantly keep our minds and our souls and hearts on finding a solution to the problem of global white terrorism. And our youth need a chance to grow up. We need to create that type of world for them to live in. So we ask the ancestors to grant us the strength needed to make it through and to be warriors and find this problem, find a solution to this problem as soon as possible. Ashe. Once again, I want to thank everybody for tuning into the program. We'll be back next week at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. We hope to have all of you who tuned in this week, and tell people about the program. If you enjoy the program, if you like the program, tell people about the program. Let's keep the word going, trying to disseminate information to get us to liberation. You are listening to Black Matters on KUAW, knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Peace, Black liberation. Abibi Fahudi.
Peace. And by the way, Candace said, now that she's hot, y'all all own her. I'm kidding.